Gospel today, Jesus, this passage where he spends quite a bit of time talking about demonic forces, evil spirits. We know that he spent a lot of his time casting out such things, and he taught his disciples to do the same, and they did the same. This was a very important part of his ministry, to destroy the works of darkness by the light of God that's coming from him. Today we don't talk about these things a lot. Today we don't think about them very much. In the typical church, sometimes certain areas of the church will focus on it probably too much. But it's a reality. God put it in the Word for a reason. And we know that demonic activity is existent in the world today. And I think Bishop Ariel put his finger on something very important yesterday in the homily, when he said that one of the key demonic areas of the enemy, of the devil, is accusation. He said accusation is a work of the devil. And very much, as he pointed out in the scriptures there in Revelation chapter 12, these verses 9 and 10, it says the old dragon, the serpent, the devil has been cast down, and he accuses the brethren day and night. Truly, he is known as the accuser of the brethren. And this work, this accusation work, is his work. Jesus said, when you point fingers at one another, when you accuse one another, he said you're scattering, you're not gathering. Those who brings together are those who motion together. Let's come together. That, he said, in that you gather with him. But when you point a finger, you're scattering. And he said, he who is not for me is against me. He who does not gather with me scatters with the pointing finger. That's very much the work of the enemy. And Jesus says in this portion, in that attitude, in that action, the kingdom won't stand. He said if the devil accuses himself and each other, he said they won't stand. His kingdom won't stand. Of course, we know that it won't anyway. But even in the kingdom of God, if we are full of this particular attitude of pointing and accusing each other, he said, that won't stand either. We have to make sure that's not there, because that's a scattering effort. That's a scattering action rather than that which gathers. And in the book of what's called the book of Jesus, son of Sirach, sometimes called Ecclesiasticus, this also gives us, very much addresses this today in the passage here from chapter 19, where it talks about when you first hear a report about somebody, don't just automatically assume it's true and then start accusing them or feeling against them because of something someone said. It said in the first verse we read, verse 4, if you trust the report of others too quickly, you're light-minded. That doesn't sound like a very good thing, right? Light-minded doesn't mean your mind is full of light and you're full. It means there's not much going on up there. If you instantly believe everything you hear, your head is very light. There's not much weight, not much going on between the ears. That's that's what it says there. A lot of reports out there these days. You can just open your phone or open your computer. All sorts of reports everywhere. But Jesus, son of Sirach, says if you believe every one of them right away, you're light-minded. The same way, if you hear a report about a brother or a sister, he said, don't just believe it right away. Stop. And best thing to do, ask them. Oh, but that might be confrontational. It's better than getting things wrong and holding something against someone that's not true. Sure, it's easier to ask somebody else. What did you hear about so-and-so? Is that really true? Did you hear what sister so-and-so said? Or have you heard the report about brother this or that? He said, don't even do that. That's light-minded. He said, the best thing to do, if there's an issue, if there's a report, if there's a confrontation, best thing, ask them. I'll read it right here. Starting in verse 13 of the reading from Ecclesiasticus chapter 19. It says, question a friend. Perhaps he did not do it. Just because somebody said something happened doesn't mean it happened. If there's something that's really an issue and it's bothering you and you want to know the truth, don't just whisper around. Don't just assume and trust that everybody said everything correctly. Question the friend. Perhaps he did not do it. This is the antidote to the pointing finger. My friend did that. So-and-so did that. They're wrong. They did something evil. Not the pointing of the finger. That's the work of the enemy. That's a much more relevant work of the enemy today, a much more common work of the enemy than those which were in the gospel reading. Question them. Maybe they didn't do it. But if he did anything, so that he may do it no more. So check and see if it really happened. And then you can do what it said in the reading from 2 Timothy, I think it was last Sunday. You know, if there's something there that's wrong, mention it to them. Tell them, we shouldn't be doing that. It's called an open rebuke there in the Scripture. It doesn't have to be quite that harsh, but just say, that's really not the way God's people should do things. But don't just assume it's right just because you heard it. Then it says, question a neighbor. Perhaps he did not say it. Perhaps that reported word wasn't really true. But if he did anything, but if he said it, so that he may not say it again. Question a friend, for often it is slander. Sometimes what someone reports, it's really the work of Satan pointing a finger. And we don't need to automatically assume that the report we heard is factual and true. So do not believe everything you hear. My parents told me that from the time I was a little boy. Don't believe everything you hear. Some of the things you hear are not true because they're not told with the right motive. If in doubt, or even if just wondering, always ask the person. But ask the person that the report is going out about. Don't ask a third party, or a fourth party, or a fifth party. The wisdom of Jesus, son of Sirach, says, question the friend involved. Maybe he didn't do it. Question the neighbor. Maybe they didn't say it. Question the friend. For a lot of times it's slander against that person. A person may make a slip without intending it. Who has never sinned with his tongue? In other words, maybe it's true, but it was an accident. It wasn't done from a hard heart. That's the time when you ask and find out. And he says, question your neighbor before you threaten him, and let the law of the Most High take its course. Sometimes we hear something, we get so upset, we get so angry, and we automatically make up our mind, I'm never going to talk to them again. I'm going to befriend them from my Facebook, and I'm going to do this and that. You know, question him first. And before you threaten him, let the law of the Most High. What's the law of the Most High? Trust each other. The law of the Most High is love one another. The law of the Most High is put away the pointing finger and malicious talk. That's the law of the Most High. So this is the evil that I think a very prevalent evil in society today. When Jesus talked about the spirits and the evil, this is one, the accusing spirit, the accuser of the brethren. He doesn't have to bring out the big guns. All he has to do is throw a few words in people's ears and point a few fingers, and unity is dissolved. We're not gathering anymore. We're scattering. And that's the opposite of what Jesus commanded us to do. If you're with me, if you're not for me, you're against me. If you don't gather, you scatter. And the number one way to scatter is to take a word and immediately start pointing fingers and start accusing. This is not the work of God. This is not the way of God's people. It's not the way of the kingdom of God. But let us be those who don't just assume wrong reports right away. Take the time, take the effort. Go to the person. Ask the friend. Ask the neighbor. Ask those involved. And make sure. Maybe they didn't do it. Maybe they didn't say it. Or maybe it was a slip, because we all make slips. And what we do is we've been taught quite a bit the last couple of weeks. When people aren't perfect, what do? We forbear. And we love. And we forgive. And we accept. And we restore. This is the mature way to handle things, as the wisdom of Jesus, son of Sirach, will tell us. This is the way to work things out in the kingdom that God has birthed us in. So let's be mature in these things. Don't be so quick to judge and so rash with our judgments. Let's work with mercy, work with love. Put away the pointing finger. Just stand.